What up? What up? Happy Friday to you. I certainly hope that you've had a marvelous week, and we're praying that everything has been going well for you and your family. And happy holidays. We're now officially, I believe, in that holiday season throughout the course of Thanksgiving, Christmas to New Year's, and we want to wish you well. Welcome to the Faith Unbuttoned podcast. I'm your host, Pastor K. We are an extension of Never Alone Christian Center, a virtual ministry that my wife and I, Miss Chiffon Wiley, launched this summer of 2021. We pray that we will not always be, and we know that we will not always be a virtual ministry, but right now, that is how we are operating. But our goal is to shift into a brick and mortar soon. Please check us out on our website at neveralonecc.org. Make sure you visit our YouTube channel at Never Alone Christian Center. Subscribe. Turn on the notifications. Click the bell. Check us out on Facebook as well as Instagram. We love you guys. We're constantly praying for you, and we are always excited for the Faith Unbuttoned podcast because we tap into some very, very interesting subjects. With that said, let's get to it tonight. We are in part number 3 of a podcast we begin entitled, My Spouse is Overwhelmed, How Can I Help? My spouse is overwhelmed, how can I help? And this particular podcast came to my mind, or came to fruition, because in this particular time of the holiday season, and not only the holiday season, but throughout the course of the year and life, especially dealing with the pandemic and going through the various ups and downs of this particular virus and many other things taking place in our society, sometimes life can get overwhelming. And if you're married, you're in a relationship, or you're dating, whatever format you find yourself in, or even if you're single, I believe that this particular podcast is critical because we need to know how to help one another if we become overwhelmed with life, if we become overly stressed, or our mental state begins to slip beyond that which is normal for our spouse and in our relationships. So we begin looking at several portions of this particular topic. And tonight we want to pick up with some helpful tips that we began last week on how to help our spouse. Before I get there, I just want to remind you of the suicide prevention hotline. If you or you know anyone who's experiencing a level of depression or a mental state that would lead you to believe, or lead yourself to believe, that suicide is on your mind or on their mind, please reach out to the Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. And this is a international or a national phone number where you can reach out if you are in need of help. Okay? So what we covered in podcast number 1 or number 2 of this particular topic, we looked at what are some signs we should look for when our spouse is possibly overwhelmed. And we looked at 7 different signs. If you missed those particular podcasts, it's cool. Check out the YouTube channel at Never Alone Christian Center. Click on the playlist, Faith Unbuttoned Podcast, and those particular podcasts should be at the top of the list. That way you won't have any gaps in your knowledge with this particular subject matter, because just as it's important to have helpful tips in reference to dealing with someone being overwhelmed in our relationship, it's just as important that we can recognize some signs when our partner or our spouse is overwhelmed, okay? So make sure you check those out. So last week we left off with, we covered 2 practical tips to help our spouse if they're overwhelmed. We looked at number 1 was to practice acceptance. And we looked at number 2, which is to be mindful. Okay, so let's jump right into number 3. These are practical tips to help our spouse, our partner, or in our relationship to help them if they are overwhelmed with life. And we want to be able to help them transition if they're overwhelmed with their job or they're overwhelmed with school, whatever has them in a situation where they are overwhelmed, we want to be able to help them. And number 3, a way that we can help our spouse is helping them stay active. Active, okay? Not only mental activity, but physical activity. So often we connect physical movement with our body, like exercise, to being active. But studies have shown it also has a dramatic effect on our mental state as well. Being physically active is not only great for our physical body, but it's also great for our mental mind as well, or our mental state as well. Some of you may know I got back on my gym journey for a while. I'd gotten off track and I picked up more weight than I was satisfied with. So I've gotten back in the gym and I've been going consistently now for 2 weeks. And I consider that to be an accomplishment because I'm always trying to get to day 1, to day 2, and then day 3, okay? So that's where I am. But I say that to say because these last 2 weeks have been tremendous on my mental state. They have given me an opportunity to rest my mind, given me an opportunity to tap into some new subject matters moving forward with the ministry. And they've given me an opportunity to begin to plan for 2022. And they have helped me not only physically, but mentally. So we can help our spouse if they're overwhelmed by helping them stay active. And my wife has given me this time to be able to go to the gym at night. So she's picking up a few more activities or picking up a few more responsibilities with the children, with their homework and things of that nature, so that I can have this opportunity to go to the gym. This is how we can help our spouse, by opening up avenues and giving them a pathway to become active and to stay active. Okay? Even if it's as simple as walking together around the block, or exercising together, or going to the movies together, or walking around the mall together. Whatever you can do to create a level of activity, I believe that it can help relieve your spouse from being overwhelmed. Okay? If we're struggling with things mentally and struggling with things physically, and we're down and out, and then what we do is we go to work, we come home, we eat lunch, eat dinner, whatever the case may be. We get on the couch, watch TV, go to bed, do it over and over and over again. This can become a cycle of redundancy that can easily lead to not handling matters in our lives. We're simply sweeping them under the rug. We're pushing them further and further down into the trash can or into the laundry basket. We're compressing down what's really happening in life, and we're becoming overwhelmed. Your spouse comes in and says, listen, let's go to the gym. Let's go for a walk. Let's walk around the mall. Initially, there may be some pushback because what we have to do is we have to get our spouse to break a cycle of dealing with being overwhelmed. And breaking that cycle requires us as a husband, us as a wife or a partner, to give our significant other that little push so that they can become active. Okay? The goal is to help the mind and help the body compartmentalize everything else going on in life, and to not push it backwards, but to allow it to rise up so that we can handle it and begin to move forward. All right? So staying active is a tip, a helpful, practical tip that we can use to help our significant other if they're overwhelmed. All right, let's look at number 4. And this is the big one. This is a big one, okay? Social media limitations. Social media limitation. There's nothing more, or social media can be depressing or can compound issues in your life if you're overwhelmed with life. Because at times there's so much negative material out there. Now, I am thankful for videos that give you laughter. I watch a lot of comedy videos, a lot of those quick quick clips on with the dogs and the cats and the animals talking. Those are the type of things I like on social media. But you can easily go into social media and begin to compare your life to the life of others. Not even necessarily famous people, but we begin to compare our lives to the life of those who are in our circle. We begin to compare our lives to the life of those on our job. Well, they're traveling, they're doing this, their children are doing that, or they got this bag. Look at those shoes, look at that house, they must be doing this. And what it does is now we begin to compare ourselves to what someone else is doing, and it begins to cause us to become even more overwhelmed with life, or how we may feel as if we're falling short in life. We have to create social media limitations. If your spouse is overwhelmed and they're dealing with things that has them down, help them or begin to talk to them about limiting social media, because it can begin to bring them even into a more of a slump, if you will. Short breaks from our devices, I believe, increase our mood dramatically. Try it. It certainly gives us more free time. You know, sometimes we're overwhelmed because we don't feel as if we have the time to take care of the basic things that we need to handle in life. It seems as if the sun's up and before you know it, the sun is down and we're looking at another day, and we feel like we don't have any free time. We don't have any free time to invest into our marriage. We don't have any free time to invest into our children. We don't have any free time to invest into our career. We don't have any free time to invest in our landscape. We don't have any free time to invest in investments. We always feel like there's not enough time in the day. But as we've all heard, there's no secret to life that you and I as humans were all allotted the same amount of time in every day, which is 24 hours. How is it that many other people can manage to accomplish all the tasks they need to accomplish in the same amount of time that we have? It's because they are organized, and I can assure you they have social media limitations in place. I can assure you they're not streaming Instagram and TikTok and Facebook all the time. Every free moment they have, their recourse isn't to pick up their phone to see what's happening in life or happening in the social media world. Short breaks. I'm not asking for you to be extreme with your spouse. I'm not asking you to create 5 hours a day. Short breaks. Maybe an hour. Start with an hour a day or 30 minutes a day of just sitting the device down, the tablet down, the remote down, sitting down and having a moment of free time. Use that free time to organize your day, to organize your week, or whatever has you overwhelmed. Use that free time from social media to organize it so that you can take care of it and overcome what has you overwhelmed. Social media limitation. Listen, it's tough. These are some practical tips so that we can help our spouse if they're overwhelmed. And there's none greater than creating social media limitations. Okay? All right, we have 2 more. Let's look at number 5. And I hope you guys are getting something out of this podcast, because I believe that communication in any relationship or marriage is critical. But there's no more important time to communicate than when your spouse is overwhelmed. They're being heavy-handed by life, or being handled a heavy hand by life, and they're looking for an escape. And you as a husband or as a wife have to be that resource that they need to help them if they're overwhelmed. Okay. Number 5, helpful tips on practical helpful tips on how to help our spouse if they're overwhelmed. Number 5, stay connected. Stay connected. Do not allow your spouse to isolate themselves. Engage them. If they refuse, consider professional help. Psychologist, therapist, your pastor. Consider professional help. If your spouse is overwhelmed and they begin to isolate themselves from you as their spouse or from the children, or they become isolated at work, they're isolated from their family and their friends, you notice a dramatical or drastic mood change in their life, and they begin to isolate themselves. We as spouses have to help our partners stay connected to reality. No matter what may be going on in their personal life, we have to engage them. If my wife comes home and she comes from work and she's upset, I immediately ask, is everything okay? And then she may say, well, no, it's not okay. I don't want to talk about it right now. I say, cool. When you're ready to talk about it, we'll talk about it. Okay? Now, I do follow up shortly thereafter, depending on your spouse. It may be a couple hours. It may be a day. You have to know your spouse. But follow up to make sure that whatever has your spouse overwhelmed, that you are staying connected. You are not allowing them to isolate themselves. Engage them in conversation at dinner. Engage them in conversation before they go to work. Whatever you have to do, engage them. Do not allow them to isolate themselves, to fall down into a slump that may be difficult for them to recover from. If you feel like you are a spouse and you cannot seem to get your husband or your wife out of a slump, mentally or physically, you can't help them stay connected, reach out for professional counsel and professional help. We do not want our spouses to slip into a state of depression that could lead to overeating, that could lead to stress, could lead to heart attack and high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or even suicide on the worst case scenario. We have to stay connected to our spouse. How often do you speak to your spouse? It sounds like a ludicrous question, because it should be, oh, I talk to my spouse every day. But you would be amazed. Many people who are married in relationships, they barely speak throughout the course of the day. Now, I get it, kids, work, and things of that nature, but I don't care how busy I am. I have time to speak to my wife, and she has time to speak to me. Why is that? Because I strive, and I believe that she strives to stay connected. We don't allow ourselves to become isolated from one another, even though we may be going through things. We stay connected. I engage her. She engages me. And when we need help, we get help. Okay? Stay connected. My spouse is overwhelmed. How can I help? Number 6. Okay, number 6. Stay focused. Stay focused. Routines help us stay focused. Do you have a routine in life? Do you have a routine? Do you have a morning routine, an afternoon routine, an evening routine, a workout routine, a studying routine? A routine for the children. Do you have a routine in life? Because routines help us stay focused. How can we help our spouse if they're overwhelmed? We can help them by helping them stay focused. In other words, we need to help our spouse get into a routine that's a healthy routine. Something healthy for them mentally, healthy for them physically. We can only do as much as we can to change our circumstances. We only can do what we can to change our circumstances. We cannot allow our spouse to become consumed by life and do nothing. We have to do something. And that's something, and number 6 here is help them stay focused. Is your spouse organized? Are they good with time management? Are they good with their communication skills? Are they good with children? How are they with time and attendance at work? Are they good with their extracurricular activities? Are they involved in extracurricular activities? How often are they on their devices? How often do they watch TV? Do they do anything outside? Are they always inside? Are they ever in the same room with you? Are they always in the same room with you? Do they sleep on the couch? Do they sleep in the bed with you? How are you helping your spouse stay focused when they're overwhelmed? You see, we have a great responsibility as partners to one another. As a husband, as a wife, we have a great responsibility, a tremendous responsibility to help one another. And helping each other requires us helping each other, to stay focused. Listen, we are each other's rock. Don't fold on your spouse when they need you the most. Don't fold on your spouse when they need you the most. Well, Pastor K, you say, well, I'm going through stuff too, and she's going through stuff, so how can I help her and I need help? Well, that's a great question. It may be time to get some counsel. It may be time to get some counsel. You know, I always say therapy is a good method for counsel. Your pastor, if you have a pastor and they specialize in counseling, or you've been counseled by them before, that's an opportunity to get help. Don't run from help. If you both are struggling with things, get the help that you need. Okay? And that is my final thought. Don't run from your problems. Get the help that you need if your spouse is struggling, or if both of you guys are struggling. All right? Listen, I love you guys. Don't forget to tune in this Sunday. We'll be still teaching at 9 a.m. and we're also teaching at 12 p.m. That's the replay on our YouTube channel at Never Alone Christian Center. We're finishing up our subject matter on when God says no. Now, tonight we concluded this particular podcast, which has 3 parts, on my spouse is overwhelmed. How can I help? So please put all 3 podcasts together so that you can gather the information and that you and your partner can listen to it together so that we can help one another. If you need someone, or you know someone who's overwhelmed in life, share it with them. Send them the link. Don't be afraid to share good information with other people. We are so quick to share negative stuff, but take time to share something positive with your family and your friends. Okay? Enjoy your weekend. Continue to be safe on these holidays and be wise. Don't be fighting and fussing in stores. Be smart in rush hour traffic. Don't be patient with people, okay? People out here are going through stuff and they're responding in anger. Be patient in traffic. Be patient in the store lines. Just be patient in the parking lot. Be safe. Be wise. Don't dive into a bunch of debt. Enjoy the holidays. Remember, it's about love and family and friends. Okay? Keep the focus. Keep the focus. All right? That's my spiel. God bless. Let's go.